Hello and welcome to another episode of Gumbo Live. Here's your host, BJ from Board Game Gumbo.
Hey Board Gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live. A special episode, a very special episode. Gumbo Live, the number one Facebook Live talk show in Lafayette, Louisiana, dedicated to board gaming. Our special guest tonight, we got Mitchell from the Beans and Dice and Jerod from Facebook or the Gumbo Pot Twitch
Jerod
stream.
from Facebook. Are you friends with Mark Zuckerberg or something, Jerod?
If only.
That's a callback to our other episode.
If only you were, he could be able to fix your name on Facebook. That's misspelled.
True. Yeah.
That's true. You'd have to have a direct connection with him, with the Zuck. Hit us up on social media, on Twitter or on Facebook at Board Game Gumbo. Hey, but let's get right to Mitchell and Jerod. What's the reason we're all here together?
I would love to know the answer to that too somehow. No. Southern Board Game Festival, SoBo, just happened this past weekend.
Now, are you going to also push this to the Beans and Dice podcast crew?
What do you mean by push this?
You know, to their audio feed, because we.
Oh, so we're going to take this podcast and upload it on theirs.
Well, you're not doing one, are you?
Yeah. This last week, Wayne and I have both been busy. Usually we'd be recording right now, actually. So,
Board Game Gumbo, a podcast about
how we eat,
how we convention. All right, so let's get right to it. Southern Board Game Fest. Mitchell, tell everybody, what is Southern Board Game Fest?
So Southern Board Game Festival is a small town con, but with lots going on, we aim to be the most prestigious gaming con in the Gulf Coast, and it's all a benefit for New Hope. It's a community development organization in Northern Lafayette that helps with homework help and after-school programs for underprivileged kids.
I checked. I actually did some research. We are now the number one convention, board game convention, south of Interstate 10 in Louisiana. Number one.
And there's so many to compete with. Yeah.
I don't know if there's any others. So Jerod, it's 2 days, but technically we kind of made it into 3 days, didn't we?
Yeah, because we get that special privilege, I guess, of having to set up the whole convention, but then also getting a little bit of time to hang out before the convention starts.
Yeah, and
every time on Friday, and
unless you're BJ and you break your back and you don't do anything Friday night.
I did nothing on Friday night, and then I did nothing on Sunday either. I got it, and then miraculously I felt better on Monday. I don't know how that works.
It's crazy how that works.
No, but Jerod, you did us a big solid, man. You we had a special guest. We had Burky from GameToppers LLC, a special guest, and tell everybody what solid you did for us, man.
I single-handedly saved the entire convention because it was going downhill from the beginning. No, GameToppers LLC. I have a table, and they were doing a big giveaway for the entire convention. So they gave away a whole bunch of prizes, mats and bags and gift cards and all kinds of things. So I was able to bring my GameTopper LLC, which then we used to kind of showcase the dice towers, the trays, and then do all the giveaways. And there was a prize, a competition. Everybody had to roll a set of dice, and if you rolled higher than a certain number, you got put in for the big drawing. And so we're able to use that table to kind of showcase both the GameToppers tables themselves, and then also use it to do all those giveaways. So,
well, Mitchell, really cool. Jared's not reading the show notes, so we're going to jump right to section 3E, which is the dice extravaganza. No, that's absolutely right. Burky's dice extravaganza. We rolled a bunch. Man, wasn't that
I don't know
really
where we're
popular
at.
event?
I don't know where we're at.
It was.
We were just doing an intro about what Southern Board Game Fest was all about.
Yeah, but then you said
how did you do a solid? Yeah.
How'd you do a solid, which was the table? That was the only solid I did.
That's fair. By the way, an inception moment was Mike Fontenot being there. Shout out to Mike, and Jerod being right next to him, like within a minute. So Burky met the guy he sold the table to, Mike. They had never met before.
Oh, yeah. I remember this. Yeah.
And then Mike leaves, and you walk up, and I'm like, and this is the guy that owns the table that he just bought from Mike. Because he was wondering, Mitch, I don't know if you noticed, Burky remembers every
He does.
sale.
He was talking to Rob from Beans and Dice, and he was like, hey, we met, blah, blah. He's like, oh, yeah, Carlos from Puerto Rico. He bought this mat in 2016 Dice Tower East. Like, I don't know facts about Carlos' personal life. It's like, what the heck, man? He bought from you one time.
He did that to Jeremy. He knew that Jeremy had bought the Cthulhu mat.
Yeah.
I don't know
Jeremy's
how.
wife, Jamie, said, hey, we just bought a Cthulhu mat. He's like, oh, yeah. And he rattled off the dimensions. He was like, you just ordered it last week. Thanks.
And their address, their kid's name, the social security number. It was Burky is.
Their pet,
What a-
their street, the street they were raised on.
Now, this
Yeah.
first time you guys had met Burky, right?
No, you and I played baseball highlights with him at Dice Tower East last year.
Absolutely. You kicked my butt. I forgot all about it. Still trying to remember, forget that.
You just blocked it out.
Jared, you?
I had met him before, so that was the first time I ever met him.
I had such a good time with him. Man.
He
was
was
a
at
super
the
nice guy.
convention last year, so
He was not. No, he was not. So shout out to Burky. He really did us, what a favor for we almost tripled our tickets when we started that promotion, right? I mean, at least double and I guess at least double.
More than
by the
double,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, more than double. A little bit more than double during the promotion. So he really did us a great favor by doing that big promotion. That was actually fun. Any other?
it was really cool. There was a lot of stuff to give away and a lot of winners. So he even threw in some extra there, right in the middle of the convention.
He did.
Yeah. So it was wild. So yeah, like Jared said, anybody who wanted to could roll dice. If you got over a 30 out of a possible 60, your name was on the list. And for 45 minutes straight, people were rolling dice. Like it never stopped. I mean, I think more than half of the badge holders probably rolled dice.
And if you didn't win, you still got that sweet GameToppers LLC pin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Put on your GameTopper
He
badge.
actually ran out of
Buy
those.
your own. Really?
He brought 60 pins, ran out.
And that's just for the people that got 30 and over.
Right. I brought 120 pieces of candy, and I only had about 25 left. So, I mean, we rolled at least 160, 180 people through that thing. I was just happy because Burky confided to me that when Grant Lyon ran it at Origins, they only, they had a much less than we had. So, hey, take that, Grant Lyon. We dusted him.
It was funny.
Who's
BJ
the
was like,
professional comedian now, man?
oh my gosh. Well, BJ, you were like, hey, whenever it's time for the meet and greet, if you don't mind just coming over and give me a hand. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I thought it'd be just kind of a couple minutes. And then Burky's trying to greet people and, be a salesman and tell them what to do and write on the paper and hand out everything. So you and I kind of just became the guys that were like counting the dice, writing on the names. You were handing them the candy. And it was something I thought would be a couple minutes. And not saying I regretted it, but yeah, it was just like, okay, this line is never going to end. This is crazy.
It was a whole hour from 4:30 to 5:30.
Well,
plus the setup.
it was
plus the setup.
It was 5:22, and the reason I know is because I felt bad for the Beans and Dice guys. He ran out of pens, so he called it, and they had just walked back in. I think they were trying to get back in for 5:30, but that's fine. That's fine.
It was like waves, though. We had like a huge wave that came in, then it trickled, then another wave that came in.
Well, I think what happened was people saw the long line, and they waited till it was about over, and then they came and got in the line.
It might have also been me walking around.
I was going to say, you went.
You went and got that whole game of Coalition, too. I forgot about that.
Did the whole walk around.
I did. And it's Joshua, I think, right?
Yeah, Josh Bala.
Josh was so funny because he would not break character, and he stopped and said, all right, all those in favor of taking a break to go do the thing, whatever, raise your hand or your mitten or whatever it is that they do during that game. I've never played the game. So
that's so in the theme of that game. Yeah,
it's a voting thematic game. They had to vote. No one could leave unless they voted to leave, and they did. So
that's great.
We rolled a super amount of people through that, and everybody seemed to be just happy with just chucking dice, and it was good. It was a good way to start the Saturday, but this is supposed to be about Friday night setup. Anything else on Friday night setup? I know what was fun is also I got to hang out with Carla and Nick and Jay from Houston and Weird Giraffe Games on Friday night. That was kind of fun. So I don't know if you guys got to talk to them.
Yeah, I talked to Carla. I walked by at one point and I saw her playing a copy of Explosion in the Lab, and I was like, hey, when am I getting my copy of that? She's like, I hope in the next week. I was like, okay, I was not expecting that soon. And she said, realistically, maybe closer to a month, but it sounds like it's close to delivery.
Speaking of that, okay, I think all three of us played Explosion in the library.
I think we played it together.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
but we played a pretty rough copy. That copy was gorgeous.
I didn't see that copy. I wish I would have saw it.
Well, so she had publicized that she had 2 or 3 prototypes she was going to be playing. So that's why I was surprised to see that one whenever I passed by, and it definitely caught my eye.
It did not look like the version we played, Jared.
Really? That's cool.
Super sweet artwork, really easy to see, very thematic. So I didn't actually, Mitchell, I didn't recognize the game until I was like, hey, what is this? And she's like, that's that one you guys streamed for me. explosion in the laboratory. Like, oh, man.
And what was cool about her table is, she had some scheduled times, but I had a friend, Alicia. This was her first gaming con, and she had signed up for the Fire in the Library. It was a dice version, right, or rolling right that she's working on. Anyway,
Fire in the Library.
Yeah, was it a dice game?
Yeah,
Card game.
Card
Okay,
game, yeah.
so
the card game version.
She had signed up for that, but whenever she sat down at the table, she told Carla that she had never played the original game. So she's like, well, why don't I teach her the original game then? So it's kind of cool how she could be a little, so instead of playing this game that was based on a game she never played on, she just said, hey, play the original game. And she was kind of able to be flexible like that. So that was kind of cool.
That was neat. So it was cool to see them again. I used to hang out with them at all the cons. But lately when she goes to cons and I'm at cons, she likes hanging at the Unpub or, Protospiel.
Oh yeah, she was there all day.
Areas. So I knew exactly what she would do. She literally just plopped right in the middle of the Go Pub, and she told me she had such a good time because we made it prominent. A lot of times at these Unpub events, they're kind of way off in the back and nobody gets to see them. And we make it a focus of the thing. We want designers and publishers to come.
Yeah. We had a ton of Go Pub this year, and there were maybe Sunday there was a little bit less, but Saturday, anytime I passed by right there, they were running playthroughs. Like, even there were so many walk-ups that were accommodated. I hope they got a lot of good feedback.
This is the second time in a row I don't get to play the playground game because it was full every time I went by. And then I tried to play Chaos Cove. That's the new game from Martin Wallace that Hutchu Games is doing. That Jerod, I don't know if you know, Carlos Roy did all the graphic design for. Well, from here in the Gumbo, yeah, Carlos did the graphic design for it. But I never got a chance to play Chaos Cove at all. It was always full.
It was always full. I kept walking by it. Seeing it looked really interesting. It looked really cool. But it was always busy. There was always a game in.
Did either one of y'all get to play any of the Go Pub games?
No, I didn't play the Go Pub stuff.
Beans and Dice played Chaos Cove. They said mechanically it was pretty cool. There was still some stuff to figure out. They made a choice. So they decided with the design of the game, I guess the artistic design, there's like nothing, no like icons or anything on the board itself. You have a play rate that tells you what the different board locations do. And the biggest feedback that the Beans and Dice guys had and everybody else was like, you might want to have it on the board. So it sounds like they may end up implementing that.
Yeah. More work for Carlos.
I saw Jay was there doing all of his games and doing
Jay's games were popular. Again, every time I passed by, Jay was showing a different game. It looked like Pipit was very popular.
Yeah, and Ludicraft too.
I was going to say the surprise to me was how many people came back and said, I'm going to back Ludicraft if it goes to Kickstarter. Like I had a lot of people tell me that they really enjoyed it, which kind of surprised me because it's kind of a meta game, but
it's very meta. Yeah. A board game about designing board games.
But we are the right target audience for it.
Right.
I didn't get to try it, but somebody that played it, an earlier prototype with me, played it again. Was it you, Jerod, that was talking about it? Maybe not.
We had played it early. We had played it a couple months ago.
But somebody that played it this weekend said, oh, it was Barnes. Barnes was telling me that when he played it this time, he was like, oh man, it's even more thematic than it was before. So I think it was Barnes. I can't really remember, but did you get a chance to try Ludicraft, Mitchell?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. Any games you guys play on Friday night? I played nothing except I played After Us online with the Meepletown crew. So that was my only game all night was After Us. Anything?
Jerod and I tried to play Fabled, and then I had to be a jerk and leave halfway through. But so we had the ballroom to set up until 8, and then the university was going to let us stay in the side room in the test room until midnight. And at about 7:30 or something like that, Sagan and John were like, "Hey, I'm out. Can you get everybody to the ballroom by 8?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Well, I haven't eaten yet." So I had to really quickly at 7:30 run over to the festival to get some food and to get back to kick everybody out of the ballroom. So I had to dip out of that game.
And y'all moved over to the test room?
Yeah, we moved over to the test room. Yep. But that was one of the play to win games, Fabled. What did you think of it, Jerod? Our half of play that we got.
It seems really interesting. It's that everybody basically has a set of little druid guys. It was druids. I couldn't, for the life of me, cannot remember.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like it. Druids or wanderers or something like that.
Don't ask Mitchell about the theme, man.
Essentially, you're playing a card, and that card has little roads on it. And when you play a card, you put your villagers, your little dudes on the road. And then over time, those guys are going to be walking across and getting bonuses, and you're trying to upgrade. There's like a tier system of books, and if you can get it to the highest tier of book, that's the victory points of the game. That's the whole kind of crux of the game, is getting all of your books upgraded to that whatever fourth tier of books is. So it was really interesting. I wish I I would have liked to play the whole game and figure out kind of how it ended, and is it something that's going to end at like 22 points or something, or 10 points?
Yeah,
Something
I
really
think it'd
close,
be low scoring.
or is it So
because you're having to trade in 2 for 1, and they have to do that 4 times to get up, so it's going to be hard to get points.
the allies seem really interesting. There's some really strong ally powers that I could tell just off the beginning, where there was like 2 or 3 allies. Each person had 1 ally or 2 allies, and they seemed really powerful. So
the artwork was pretty striking.
Yeah, I think that's why you picked it up, right, Jerod? You just saw the box?
Yeah, I did. We were when we were getting SoBo ready a couple weeks ago. I had saw the box and I said, "Oh, I should learn how to play this one because this one seems really interesting."
So this is Fabled: The Spirit Lands from Crowd or Crowd Games. That's what y'all are talking about.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. One of the play to win games.
What do you think, Mitchell? What do you think of it?
Yeah, it was definitely different than what I expected, because it's pretty much, I mean, all you do on your turn is you flip out a card, and then as a result of that, your dude goes on it, and then the second thing, you just pick one of the 4 terrains and said, everybody on this terrain move forward. So it's not like there's a lot of choices, but because there's not a lot of choices, I think there were only like 8 rounds. You had to really make those decisions count. There were some times where you have like some actions at the end of a turn based on where your meeple ended up. Yeah. But
were you playing co-op or competitive?
No, it was competitive.
Versions.
Yeah, there is a co-op. I think there's co-op in the rules, but I don't see how. I'd have to go figure out how co-op even works in that game. But
did you find that your brotherhood explores the fabled lands of the spirit world?
Yes.
So are they monks? Is that what it is?
Your sages follow winding paths and visit fabled places along the way.
Sure,
So
we'll go with that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then we got to play your big box of Village, which Jerod was fussing at me the whole time because I didn't want to kill my workers. And he's like, "You're supposed to be killing your workers." And I'm like, "Why would I want to kill my workers?" He's like, "You're not going to win if you don't kill your workers."
So you played a Halloween game.
They're not workers. There is no worker.
It's a Halloween game. They have the Grim Reaper, right, in Village, or is that only in my village?
I think it's only in my village. In
my village, they have the Grim Reaper that kills your people, and they go to a graveyard, and you want them to go there if they've done certain things, so that way you bring honor to your village because they're like
prestige.
Prestige,
this
right?
Whole thing is basically it's essentially that. But that's also the kind of the timer of the game, and so that game ended up taking a lot longer than it probably should.
You're saying it's my fault.
I'm not saying it's your fault. Nobody was killing off anybody. It was like I felt like it was just me and Ian. I think that was even killing people off.
And we're talking about the latest hotness. Village came out in 2011 from Eggertsfield. No, but you were super excited about this game. I don't know if you got the Stronghold version or who made the big box version, but
that was the Plan B.
Plan B
reprint of the big box. So they added all 4 major expansions and into the game. So yeah.
And you had never played it before, Mitchell?
Yeah.
No, I had not.
I've always wanted to play it. Secret Ball has been talking about it for years. Jerod and I have been talking about getting a copy for a while. I'm just glad he paid for it, not me, because I already own my Village, which is the dice game version of Village. But
it's fun. I really enjoyed it, but I think that the game is probably a little bit more enjoyable if everybody knows how to play.
Yeah,
and so because it did feel like there was times where nobody was really doing anything. We were just trying to figure out how do we make this last a little bit longer, or how do I do this, or how do I do this.
Just the base game, or y'all threw in some expansions?
We threw in the beer expansion with the inn, which I don't know if I would play without it. It just
whenever you told me that's what the expansion was, I was surprised because it felt very integrated.
Yeah. Next time I want to try the ports. I think if I recall, people say the port one is a bit more enjoyable than the caravan, which is what Mitchell hounded pretty much the whole time. He made sure he maxed out the caravan.
Did y'all finish?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we finished. Yeah, I think it ended up.
Did we have
with
a winner?
The teach and stuff? It was Mitchell. By nice. What was it, like 4 or 5 points, something like that?
I think it's more like 8 points. It was counting.
How many hours?
I think it took like 2 hours. Yeah, I think it took like 2 hours.
Y'all played a 2-player, or y'all played?
We played 4 players.
Oh, wow.
That was the other thing. I wonder if I might enjoy it more at like a 2 or 3 player count.
2 feels like it might be a little scam. Maybe 3.
Was the Beans and Dice with y'all? Is that who played it? Nick and Rob?
No, they were playing. I don't remember what they were playing.
Expeditions? Was they playing Expeditions? No, they're playing Barcelona.
They were playing
Barcelona.
They were playing Fine Dan at a drugstore.
No, that was the next day. No, we played with Ian and Connor. They were playing Barcelona with Jeremy.
Yeah, I never got to play Barcelona. My number one Envy game of the whole weekend. I never even saw it. I know it was played, but I never even
sat in that test room the entire weekend. I kept walking in there, and it was sitting on the counter the entire weekend.
I won. I did 2 Envy games. I got one of them knocked out, but I never got to play Barcelona at some point. I saw also y'all have on the list The Great Split. That's a new game I haven't heard of, I don't think.
Ha ha ha! You're so funny. See,
I love that game.
Whenever I was packing games that I wanted to bring, I brought games that could accommodate higher player counts without being extremely long. So I grabbed that, Hadrian's Wall, Twilight Inscription, those kind of things. In addition
without being really long, and Twilight Inscription being in that pile.
Twilight Inscription, maybe an hour and a half max.
If you play with people who know what they're doing, if you play with people who've never played, there's no way you're getting in 90
teach
minutes.
Alone is 30 minutes for people that haven't played
There's
it.
no way.
I played it 3 times, and there's one board I still don't even understand. I've never played on it. I don't even use it. I don't know how it
So
works.
I'm going to mention the fact that we didn't finish our game of Twilight Inscription because
that does not shock me.
the ballroom was closing Saturday night.
That doesn't shock me. Yeah, The Great Split, did it go over well?
Yeah. I thought it actually. I played 3 games of the Great Split over the con, just because anytime I was with a group of people and we had 30 minutes, I was like, hey, let's bang this out real quick. It's just 6 turns. And people seem to enjoy it.
Did Friday night, did any of y'all make it to the festival at all, other than just the food? Or was there
I grabbed food and I ran back to kick everybody out of the ballroom.
All right. Well, that was Friday night. Unfortunately, my Friday night ended around 8, so I didn't have a very long night.
And it started at 7:45. So
I was there pretty early on Saturday. I think me and Sagan were the first 2. We were there with the workers opening it up. So
when I showed up, you were not there. Did you come and go a few times?
I did, yeah. No,
Okay.
I was there way early. I was bored. I got up pretty early. I got there, and me and Sagan were setting up the dexterity games, and I mean, I wasn't doing anything, but I was just wandering around blabbing, but kind of buzzing in his ear. But no, I think I had some stuff to set up in the back with all those games. So that's mainly what I was working on. And then I think I left at some point. Went to Reds, but yeah. So unless you wanted to talk about Long Shot, the dice game.
Oh no, it's just that was one of the hot games, and one of the teachers live that I met. That actually he got involved because Sagan went out to the D&D night at UL, and not only did Live end up coming, but actually ended up volunteering in our hot games area, and he hadn't played it, and he said, I read the rules, but I'm a little murky on them, so we sat down and played a quick game of it. Doug and Connor and I think Josh Bala played with us.
I didn't see everybody, but I do want to shout out to Lav and to Matt Gaspard from he's from 2 different play groups because he's kind of from your area, but he's also kind of from Sinlaw, right?
Sinlaw, yeah.
Right? Yeah. But he's really originally from he's a New Iberia boy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He actually worked there for many years. But shout out to those 2 and to Brian Barnes because they put in a lot of time. Matt went above and beyond anything he had to do. He just hung out at the hot game room all day on Saturday and Sunday. So shout out to those guys. All right, let's get to Saturday. Saturday was a full day because
nonstop.
Started at 9. And I mean, when we opened the doors, people started coming in and we're running straight to the hot game. I mean, to the play to wins. Oh, yeah. Yep. And then it closed at 11. Not for me. It closed much earlier than that. Man, I missed out on so much this year. Oh, and before we get to everything on Saturday, the play-in, we have to talk about it because I normally do a list of the top games that are checked out each year, and unfortunately or unfortunately, it's always skewed by the play-to-wins because people do. What do you think? So what I do is I do 2 different lists. What do you think was the top play to win game that was checked out all weekend?
It had to be Fit to Print because it was in both days and I saw everybody playing it.
Jerod?
Or Oceans because that was also both days.
Play to win.
Oceans made the top 10. It did. There's a lot of
Fit to Print didn't?
Jerod? You think he's right?
Probably, but I'm gonna go with. I'm trying to think of what ones were in the play to win.
There's a couple of surprises here.
What was I didn't get to play it. The Savannah
Sabernick Forest.
Sabernick Forest. I saw a couple people playing that one, so I wasn't sure if that one.
It shocked me. Sabernick Forest did not make the top 10.
Okay, I have a couple honorable mentions before we announce it.
Yeah.
So I think also Deep Dive because it was part of that.
I did see that
days thing. Lock and Key Expeditions, Dice Throne. I feel like those have got to be on there because there's a big.
All right, so
Dice Throne was on there.
Yeah, you're all over there. So Deep Dive, Fit to Print, Point City. It was a three-way 1, 2, 3 top, tied Fit to Print and Point City at second, but Deep Dive was number one by far. Those three from AEG, really from Flat Out Games, but AEG is co-publishing them. They were popular for a reason. Not only were they there, I think both days, right?
Yeah.
But also, they're just good games. All three of these games are really good. I think I would rank them Fit to Print, Point City, Deep Dive, but I like all three. I really do. They're good games.
I think I like Point City more than I liked Fit to Print. I think I enjoyed Point City more than Fit
Mitchell?
to Print.
I only got to play Fit to Print. I played very few games. But I enjoyed the concept of Fit to Print. I did horribly my first time because I'm not good at tile laying. And then whenever you add in, a timer,
and not even knowing how many tiles you actually have.
Yeah, dude, it was so bad. So like the first round, I got way too many tiles. So the second time, I'm like, I'm not going to get too many. But the board got bigger, and it looks like it's not getting that bigger because it's just a line. But those lines add up. So like half my page was filled the second day. Anyway, I was the guy at the end that I didn't advertise enough, so my paper went out of business. But I played again later. I taught someone else, and I did a little bit better.
Yeah. So top three, Deep Dive, then Fit to Print, then Point City, and then a surprise for me was Spots at number 4. A game you could play on VGA.
That wasn't a play one.
Oh, do I have that wrong?
It was in the library, and it was also in the hot games. That might have been why.
Well, I take that back. Oh, good. Well, I have not published the blog post. It's not going out until Thursday. So thank you. Oh, fix that. I didn't realize.
Yeah, we had a lot of. I can see why you're confused. We got 60 or 70 play to wins.
We had 70 play to wins, Jared. Yeah. 70, 35 a day. No, so
Spots
you walk
is the play to win table each day, and it's like just a smattering of interesting looking games to play. So
there were. Panorama was next.
I saw someone who was super disappointed they didn't win Panorama. Apparently, it was really good. She really liked it. I had never heard of it.
And then
I
Expeditions.
I didn't even see that on there.
Expeditions, Block and Key, Cat in the Box.
Yeah.
Dice Throne Season 2, very popular, and Oceans Deluxe, very popular.
Yeah.
So big shout out to Dom at North Star because we gave out a lot of Oceans games.
12, right?
No, we gave out 12 all total.
Yeah.
I think we still have a couple left if I remember.
Trekking Through History should have been on that list, but that's okay.
It was. We got to talk about that a little bit later. But wait, I don't think we have any Oceans left because we ended up throwing it in the second day of the raffle.
Oh, we did?
All.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me see if Trekking Through History is going to make the top 10 now that Spots is out. Yeah, because that was next. Trekking Through History. Actually, it was tied. It was Trekking Through History tied with Captains of the Gulf. Surprisingly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a lot of people that, Jason got to talk to a lot of people about the game and stuff. And so I think that definitely helped. And that was cool. A lot of people enjoyed being able to talk to the designer about it. He did some guided playthroughs as well as that one in Crescent City.
Well, let's get back to our list, and then we'll talk about the non-play-to-win games because I want to hear what Jared already knows the top one, but I want to hear what Mitchell thinks the top 10.
How does he already know?
Oh, we were waiting on you, and we were just jabbing about the number one. So Saturday, that was the Dice Extravaganza, but thanks to Jared, we already talked about it. It was a fantastic event.
You started that. You set me up for the one thing, one contribution I made.
Just for the setup. I wanted you to talk about your setting up your board that night. So big shout out to Jesse and Bernie and Matt from iHeart Board Games and TableTalk. They streamed all day. And if you haven't watched the stream yet, I had it in the background while I was working. It is funny. And you also see Jared's face about 6 feet wide, 10 feet tall. They zoomed in on his nose.
That's funny.
Well, there's a lot of shots at Mitchell, too.
Where was Melissa this year? I was surprised not to see her.
She was sick. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
She got sick, and Joe had to do some kind of volunteer work. So he missed out also. So both of them were bummed not to be able to make it. So he's supposed to have 5 or 6 people to help him stream for both days, and then he was down to 3. So, and I was not much help because I was at Reds half the time. I was supposed to walk around with those mics of his and do this man on the street thing where he'd follow me with the camera, and I would interview people, but I was never around long enough to do that. But I was surprised. If you go back and watch it, he literally zooms in on a junk card game that Jared and Jack and Stephanie were playing.
I was wondering because we played that game. So we were going to talk about that later, but we played that game and it fell in that instance. In the first time it fell because I won't talk too much about it and we'll talk about it later, but it fell and I was like, man, I don't know how it fell, but nobody had gone. So we weren't sure whose point it was, who lost. But then when I watched the video, somebody hit the table. I don't know who it was. Somebody hit the table, but I didn't know.
That's when you had to leave to go set up for the bazaar? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but this was before you had met us. We had just started playing.
No, but if you watch the video, you'll see that Jesse says the same thing. What caused it? And Bernie's like, "Who's going to take all those pieces? There was a lot of pieces." Like,
that's what made me go back and rewatch. I watched it 2 or 3 times to try to figure out what happened. And then I saw it wiggle. I think somebody hit the table, but I don't know who it was.
Yeah, our friends from Lafayette, we had Mitchell and Jeremy and Mitchell and Logan and Doug. And I mean, there's like, they're all over the video on there. And that,
yeah, because y'all they kind of camped out around the iHeart Board Games stream.
And Stephanie had no idea. Stephanie's on the stream for like 8 hours.
Yeah,
8 hours of Stephanie.
Because she was always in that seat facing. And so when every time he would look up the camera, her face was right there.
But man, he went to the other side of the room and he followed John Newman playing a game for a while, and he's giving commentary because you couldn't hear him from that far. So he's like supplying, "Oh, I think John's going to do this." Blah blah blah. They were trying to figure out what the game was.
That's funny.
It was Jesse's idea to do that, and I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic idea. But I did hear from Jeremy that he's not, or maybe Doug, he's going to try not to sit so close to the camera this time.
That was Doug, yeah.
All right, so that's the iHeart Board Games. Big shout out to them. You want to talk about Bazaar first or what we played? Yeah, let's get to what you guys bought and sold.
Sure. You want to start at the end of the day? Sure. That sounds like a great idea.
It makes sense. So the Bazaar at the end of the day, what did we do?
Sold and bought games.
Hey, you're the one who put it right there.
No. I thought we were listing everything that happened. No, it was the first annual SoBo Bazaar, and there was a lot of energy, a buzz, and it was supposed to last like an hour, and I think it went much longer that we moved the Challengers tourney, but people were going in and out nonstop for like 2 hours, and everybody I talked to said they made like a good amount of money selling their used games. So I think it was good on both ends. People were getting good deals left and right.
I did okay. I actually, I sold some of my own games and I sold some of my review games, and I surprised John because I didn't tell him I was doing this with a little cash donation to SoBo that came from the review game. So that was kind of fun doing that. So thank you to all the people that bought some of my review games. I realized I could have just given away for free, but it was a nice little donation to SoBo to help them out with the ticket sales. So I sold a bunch.
How many games do you think were in there? At least 1,000, right?
In the Bazaar, there was 11 tables, right? And everybody had at least 10 games, so I would say over 1,000.
We also had John Newman.
Wait, 11 times 10 is.
It was like, I would say probably like 200, right? There was like each table had about. Don't forget.
Oh no, we had more than
way more
than our table. I had 20 something games. Jay had 15 or 20 games. You had 3 or 4 very expensive games.
I had one game, and I honestly had it up there, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to sell it.
How about our friend John? Not only did not get a table, like didn't sign up for a table. Not only that, but we're all set up, and he takes our table and just plops games, and then leaves.
Hey, I'm not upset because I ended up buying off that table. So,
did you?
And one of my acquisitions was from the Imperial Assault.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you and I missed out on a game though, Jared. Both of us were looking at Eclipse, and then we were talking about it. We're debating about it, and when we looked back,
it was gone.
It was gone. So we didn't get it. How'd you do on sales, Mitchell? You sold some?
No, I bought too many games.
Mitchell does not sell.
I don't sell.
Does not sell.
I only buy.
That's true.
I bought games from both of y'all.
Oh,
and Jared lied to me. I said I didn't know if I wanted Ares Expedition if it wasn't the dual thick player boards. They're like, oh, it is.
I thought it was.
It's
I
not.
literally haven't opened it. It's not.
Oh,
okay.
Oh man, sorry about that.
Well, I apologize.
I don't even have a list. I sold a bunch of games, but I ended up buying 2 games, not at the Bazaar. Although it was nothing against it, there was some good games at the Bazaar. I went to Dan and bought what did I buy?
Wandering Towers,
and I bought BOOoop from Anubis, and I bought some dice from Van.
Wait,
so
you bought
I bought the BOOoop, not regular BOOoop.
And you played BOOoop for the first time at the con, right?
That was my very first time ever playing BOOoop. I loved it, man. I dug it. I'm hoping that Linda's going to like it. So,
and if not, it's a 15-minute game, so she can deal with it and play it with you sometimes.
So I know who will like it. Evelyn's going to like playing it.
Yeah, for sure. I play it with my kids too. You mentioned Dan at Sanctuary. I actually got to talk to him for a little bit, and at the end of Saturday, and I asked him how he did, and he said he did really, really well. And he said, ironically, like he had someone manning his shop, and he was doing well over there too. Like I thought all the board gamers would be at SoBo, but anyway, he said, yeah, it was really, really good in the morning, And then in the middle of the day, there was a slump. And it was at the end of the day, I was like, well, you see what happened was people wanted to go play games. And then they played the game and they went buy them from you because they enjoyed them. So I was glad that they did well.
Think back to whenever you go to a convention. I shop first thing in the morning, right? Like if there's nothing going on, and right when it opens, you'll go get that game you really wanted to get before it sells out. And then after that, I wait till Sunday. You know what I mean? To see if I still want to buy a game or not. So, he said he did very well, and Anubis said they did well. I didn't talk to Van about how his sales were, but it seemed like he had a good time. So.
I saw a Spellbook, and I contemplated it the entire weekend. I never ended up buying it, but I know they have it. So if I'm interested, I might walk over there and
all right. And you got Imperial Assault from John, and you bought Merchants of the Dark Road. Is that right?
No.
That's what it says on this show notes. Were you lying again?
No. Merchants Dark Road. That was just something I acquired over the weekend, but that was through something else.
Had you played it before?
I have played it one time.
It's a good game.
But
it was one of our guided playthroughs this year, actually.
Yeah. So.
And I didn't sell all of them, but I sold many of my rare undiscovered treasures from all over the world. So I had games you can't even get on BGG. You can't get at your local FLGS.
Because nobody wants them?
My sales pitch didn't always work. I really
It was funny. I went in the bazaar at the beginning just to make sure everything was running smoothly. I don't remember what game it was. Oh, On the Rocks. And you were trying to pitch it. And a few minutes later, Patrick Newman walks into the ballroom holding On the Rocks. I was like, I guess his sales pitch worked.
No.
Patrick.
Oh, so you don't know the story?
No.
I'd already sold On the Rocks to Patrick Newman a week ago.
Oh, and you were trying to sell it to me?
And I was trying to sell it to like 10 people. And Newman comes up. He's like, hey, I'm here to pick up my game. I'm like, wait, what game? He's like, On the Rocks. Remember I told you a week ago. I'm like, Patrick, thank God you came. I tried to sell it 5 times. I totally I didn't print out my list, so I didn't have that you and Patrick had done that. But thank God you came right away and were like, hey, make sure you don't sell this. This is the one I'm getting. But Patrick was late. And so I almost sold On the Rocks. That would have been very embarrassing.
Yeah.
But of course, he hadn't paid me yet. So.
And then John Newman with his table he didn't buy. He had some unlocked games for literally $2, and I was like, "It's $2. Why would I not buy this?"
Oh, you bought some?
Yeah, 2 of them. $4 for 2 games. So that was nice.
Oh, you can't beat that at all. So.
Yeah.
All right. So it sounds like you did pretty well. You bought Smartphone Inc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. That's
Who
a good
was selling that?
The guy to the left of you. I don't remember his name, but he had a lot of stuff.
We did.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff in that room. There was
a lot of good stuff too.
Really good
there was the
stuff.
Castles of Burgundy Kickstarter reprint from John that he sold.
Yeah, but there was a lot of good games. I mean, I forgot Carla's what the table she was on. It was kind of like in that corner to our left.
Mm-hmm.
She had the
Flamecraft Deluxe, right?
Complete Deluxe, including the plushies, including like the license plate. It had like a blanket. I mean, it was like there's so many things that she got from the Kickstarter, and somebody paid what she was asking for. So
yep,
that was impressive. All right, enough about shopping. Unless you guys bought anything from the game stores, we
can talk about the raffle. That's kind of shopping. Nice little segue.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we had some awesome games donated. Some from BJ, some from publishers that we were like, we already have so many play to wins. What do we do with this? So we decided to have a raffle benefiting New Hope. And also some GameToppers as well. Really, really great packages. We had a bunch of people buy tickets. And then at the end of the night, whenever we pulled the ticket, somebody was like, the guy who won, he's like, wait, I get all of this? I thought I was going to be getting one of them. That happened both times. They're like, wait, we get all this? Wait, we get the play mat that's underneath it as well. So we had some very happy campers each day with the raffle.
I know. Maybe we didn't do enough publicity about how, hey, if you spend $5, you have a chance to take home 10 or 12 games plus a GameToppers giant, 3-foot by 5-foot mat.
Yeah, that's something we can clarify more for next year. But literally, we said at 9:30 we were going to pull the ticket. I had people shouting my name at 9:30. Pull the ticket! They were ready, like they were waiting. They were excited about it.
By the way, that Dune mat we gave, that is one of the ones from the Kickstarter. You
it's not even out
buy
yet.
that right now.
Yeah.
So Burky was like, "You're giving that away?" I was like, "Yeah, you're sending me another one." So I'm just replacing this one with this one. So yeah, I was very happy, and it seemed to generate I tried to count how many tickets we sold, but each day it seemed to be in the hundreds, like 150 or so tickets. So
yeah, the guy who won on Sunday, he had like a whole roll of them. He pulled out to find his right number. He bought a lot.
Well, I'm glad he was able to win it. So yep, that is the. Did you have anything more in acquisitions or on the raffle, Jerod?
Nope, No. I sold a couple small things, but not much.
Anything? All right. Well, let's get to the games played. I only played one game on Saturday, and that was Thunder Road Vendetta.
Love this
Very
game.
jealous.
Chrome.
Very jealous.
Okay, I never even wanted to play Thunder Road Vendetta. I'm like, I like racing games. I love racing games. This doesn't look like a real racing game. This looks like just Ameritrash dice chucking.
It's not a racing game, is it? I mean,
It is a racing game.
Technically, but
I mean,
you're trying to-
technically.
trying
does
to
it
get to
ever
the finish
win in
line.
a race? Has it ever finished in a race?
Oh my God, that was so much fun. I completely dug that game. I dug it to the point where I'd like to buy a copy. I don't know about the Maximum Chrome edition, but
What is that? Just the deluxe version? Maximum
Yeah.
Chrome?
It comes with like the I know
you get the
forgot who was-
motorcycles.
you get the motorcycles and you
The
get
big
the
rig.
truck, the big rig, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a little
It-
bit of upgraded components, I think.
It
But
comes with a module where players can take on unique little powers. Each person has like a unique. We were just playing generic boards basically, but in the Maximum Chrome one, supposedly, if I understood it right, it has all these little modules you can add. But it's just the whole thing. It's the graphic design. It's somebody said, and I'm not disparaging Restoration Games. It was their first big Kickstarter, but they said this is the game that Fireball Island was trying to be. You know what I mean? Like the production is spot on perfect and the game is tuned. I'm telling you, this is a very smooth experience. Everybody that likes, Ameritrash games, but even the Euro guy like me, there's some Euro elements where, you're trying to efficiently get through this maze of destruction. There's all these hazards and people that you're trying to avoid and they're get to the chopper. They bring the chopper out and
And you
attack
start shooting. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing I love about the game is like as much as you plan, at the end of the day, it's just chaos. And then even if I get blown off the road, it's so much fun because it's like you can blow up a car that lands on my car that blows up off the road. It's just like it's so unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. You're looking at these dice rolls to see what happens, and then whenever you realize just how much is about to happen, just because you decided to go over that hazard, it's like a ball of laughs. It's a great
Who
game.
do you know that has it?
My buddy Chris has it. Chris Giat. I played it a few months ago, right when it
Is
came out.
that Chris that won the Challengers tournament?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't at the con.
Okay.
It's Chris.
Okay. Yeah, Jerod, it's a blast. We need to find a copy.
Super. I would love to try it out myself.
Yeah, it's
Everybody's been talking about it. All the podcasts. If you listen to Beans and
now
Dice,
this one too.
Or I think the Beans and Dice guys talked about it as well.
Yeah.
Board Boys, all these guys. Yeah. So.
Okay. Quick side, a little tangent here. I'm trying to think of a better Restoration game that I've played. I think it's my favorite Restoration game.
Wow.
I love Downforce.
I like this
Downforce,
better than Downforce for
but
sure.
I gotta say, I think I like this better than Downforce, man.
The Unmatched series is fantastic. It's just so
okay.
good.
No.
It's
Correction.
so good.
Unmatched, then Thunder. If you're asking me which one I want to play, I'm going to play Unmatched before Thunder Road Vendetta.
Yeah.
But it's very close. Thunder Road Vendetta right up there. Fantastic game. All right, so that was my only play. Who wants to go next?
You can go, Mitchell.
I know we can kind of talk about this together. We played Trekking Through History because that was one of the play the wins. You said you thought your wife would like it. I know BJ and I have talked about it before on the stream.
How sad I didn't win. I'll be honest. I was sad I did not win.
Jared
we
played it a bunch of times, by the way, Mitchell. He also
he went and
streamed
streamed it, right? Yeah. Did you win that time?
No, I did not win that time. And it ended a tie, and I lost because he had more crystals left over, I think is what.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I think Leandro would love that game. It's so simple, and we've played. Now I'm brain farting on the game. What was that one we played the other day with the years, and you're putting them in sequential order?
Oh, exhibitions,
20th century. Oh, she loves that game. So, yeah, I don't see how she wouldn't enjoy Trekking Through History. Especially you add in that little element of trying to get the perfect coverage on your little card to get those bonus points. Yeah, I think she would enjoy it a lot.
Mm-hmm. I also played Cat in the Box with the Beans and Dice guys. Dan and Nick hadn't played before, and Nick, he's such a shark. He had like 20 points, and I think I had 2. That is a game that you can really get screwed over in, and it breaks your brain. And that was one of the play to wins. So, it always takes like a round to figure out. Wait, these cards don't have suits, And then after the first round, they got it, and it was a fun play.
I don't like trick taking games, except for Brian Boro, but
I almost brought it on Sunday because you mentioned.
Oh,
This
I wish you
Saturday.
would have. I really wish
if
you
you
would.
I mean, if you'd asked me, I would have brought it. But
I'd like to
Next
play
time we
Blind
meet up,
Burger.
next time we go to the Gumbo pot, you got to bring it because I've been dying to play it again. But I don't like trick taking games. But Cat in the Box does put that interesting twist on a trick taking game. So if I was gonna play one, it's definitely one I would dive into because it's just it adds that extra element of where you get to make that decision versus just getting dealt. Oh, I got dealt, 5 blue cards and 2 green, and that's all my options are. You just get dealt a bunch of numbers, and you decide what color they are and how to manipulate that. So
Yeah, you do have the
really
numbers.
interesting.
Yeah,
But
the
the
numbers,
rest,
yeah.
the rest of the game, it seems to be playing the players, not the cards, right?
Well, and the thing is, it's like the crew or other games like that, where you don't necessarily want to always be winning the tricks, because in this you have to bet how many tricks you think you'll win, and if you get the right number, then you get almost like a area majority, and so you're trying to line up your pieces to be around the same area. So you're not wanting to win the trick because maybe a lot of your other pieces that you've already played are lower numbers. So it's got a lot of layers to it.
Yeah.
Yep, that is a cool one. I do want to hear about War of Whispers, Jerod. I like that game. Not my favorite style of a game, but I like the way this one does the sort of weird area. It's sort of it's area hold on to your hat, not really area.
That's a good way to describe it.
It's not. It's like it's like an area control game, but you don't actually control an army. Like you are not. It's not your army versus your opponent's army.
It's like Game of Thrones. You're like sending your people to influence other people.
That's
all it is. I mean, it's a War of Whispers, right? So, but I mean,
what did your group think about
Jack and Stephanie? I mean, every time we have met up to play games in the last year, we have played War Whispers. We played it together 4 or 5 times. Literally every time we sit down and play games, War Whispers comes out at one point. So I'm really glad that you actually ended up bringing it to Mitchell, because I thought about it 15 times when I was loading up my car. I was like, no, I'm not going to bring it. We played it before. But then you brought it, and as soon as I saw your copy, I was like, "Oh, I have to play it. We're gonna."
Now I don't have the blinged out copy like you, but you did say like the colors were better to see in the retail version, right?
It looks like the retail version. They kind of, if you ever play War of Whispers, there are towers and little haystacks for farms representation on the map. In the deluxe copy from the original, it is so hard to see that in reference to the board.
It's true.
But in the new one, they did a really good job of highlighting those elements and
I
pulling.
never understood why they didn't just make plastic pieces to fit the towers and all that. Yeah.
They did. It was like you had to get a certain level or something to get it, or either that or everybody's 3D printing, which I would love to get a copy of, or just the 3D printed little haystacks and towers. So
I think the benefit for Jack and Steph is that this is Jack's kind of game, so he's already excited to play it. But also, Steph has played it enough now to where she doesn't have to remember all of the rules. Although she keeps telling us that she doesn't know the rules, and then she keeps winning,
keeps mopping the floor with us.
She keeps winning every time. But yeah, it's a fun one. It appeals to everybody. You've got the in your face, directly messing with other people. Although at the same time, you have no idea. You might actually be helping them, right? They may have the same color as you.
I know you're brown. Brown is definitely your top 5. It's in your ×5. And then you turns around and you're playing Uncle Barry, and yellow's his top 5 and brown's his -1. And you're like, what are you doing?
I remember, that game we played on stream. Like, who knows what BJ was doing? And then I think Logan and I literally had the exact same arrangement, but he had changed one time, and that was the tiebreaker.
Yeah,
I hadn't changed.
Yeah.
Well, Saturday for me, like I said, I didn't play a lot of games. I taught a ton of games, so we haven't really talked about guided playthroughs, but we had 16 guided playthroughs of hot new games.
You had Marrakesh because I saw you setting it up.
Yeah, I taught Marrakesh on Saturday and Expeditions on Sunday. Both groups, I think, really, really enjoyed it. During Marrakesh, we actually took a break to go see the eclipse real quick. 2 people in my group had those eclipse glasses. Were kind of cool.
But the board game.
What's that?
Not Eclipse the board game.
No, Eclipse of the Sun.
I don't know if you know, this is Mitchell's baby. He runs, for the last couple of years, he's been running the scheduled playthroughs. Did you get some feedback, Mitchell, on whether we need to do any tweaks in it or keep going the way we're going?
I honestly haven't heard anything negative. I checked in with most of the gurus as they were playing, as they were finishing, and they said people seem to love it. The only thing I would say is, and I don't know if this is a fix, I know some of them went a little long, like, for example, Terraforming Mars Big Box. That's already can be a long game, especially
the Great Wall I saw, that one went for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that one went for a minute. So,
but I talked to JoJo about it. He was the one teaching Great Wall and Lords of Ragnarok back to back, mind you, and he said he had a blast, and the people playing had a blast. But so Terraforming Mars, like we were pulling the play to win names.
Wait, hold on 1 second. JoJo said something like, "Oh, that's that big room that I've never seen."
Yeah,
he was talking about the ballroom.
Yeah,
He was literally in the test room for like 8 hours.
Well, yeah, he taught 2 huge games back to back, and he wasn't there on Sunday, so he got in a good number
His
of games toward the end
convention
of the
was
night.
basically the test room, Jerod. Like he never walked out.
But he enjoyed it. I think I don't want to speak for him. I think it was his first gaming con, and he said he had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we were pulling the play to win names, and they had to pause the Terraforming Mars game to come and see if they were winning any games. So I felt bad about that.
Mars? Who did that?
Chad did. Chad Chelsea.
Oh yeah, Chad.
but-
Mr. Wixter from the Twitch stream whenever he watches this.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't want to limit the play counts and then make it to where not as many people can play, but it would make those games go a little bit faster if not at max play counts. Because both of mine, Marrakesh and Expeditions, were at max play count, but they clipped along at a pretty decent pace. A couple hours, and it wasn't crazy. But I know some of those other ones went a little long.
The problem is you just don't know with these jump in games you can have. If you end up having a game with 2 or 3 people who like to take their turn on their turn, they like to take their time, so they wait till it's their turn to make any decisions of what they want to do. You and BJ have been playing games now I've been back in Louisiana for 2 years now, and we've been playing constantly since then. So we kind of know how each other play. So when you're taking your turn, I can already go, okay, I see what he's doing. Okay, I already know what I'm doing on my next turn.
I never do that. I patiently wait for y'all to finish your turns before I take my turn.
He never does that. He takes his turn in 2 seconds. He goes, this is good enough. This is close enough. This will work.
First best option.
Well, whenever we were playing Architects the other day, it was Jerod, me, BJ in that order. Jerod was still taking his turn, and BJ was taking his turn. I hadn't even started my turn yet.
I distinctly recall BJ saying that was one of his pet peeves is people always take their turns too early, and he is like the epitome of somebody who does that. He takes his turns consistently when other people are taking their turns.
Because I cannot remember my move for that long. You're asking me to hold my move in my brain that long? Oh, it was killing me. Squaring Circleville, which we played. I'll talk more about the game, but just the fact that I was trying to desperately hold on to what my move would be, and it would take so long to get back to my turn that I'll go, I don't remember. I think it was red and green.
Carlos, Beans and Dice, he literally plays with a notebook next to him and writes down what he plans on doing so that he doesn't. That's what the old grandpas do, I guess.
I think that covers Saturday, right?
Well, you did talk about your tourney, BJ.
My what?
Your tourney.
Oh shoot! I forgot all about that. Yeah. So Saturday night we got kicked out of the test room to do the Challengers tournament. I think it worked out better actually.
I agree.
It generated more excitement, and I was able to fill out all 24 spots because we had a couple of people back out, but I was able to grab some people, including Lauren.
I saw Jay playing as well.
Jay played. Jay was a big help because Jay's. So to give the overview, we had 24 player Challengers tournament at 3 different tables, all right next to each other. Luckily for me, Jay and Chris and another person were at a table. They had all played the game before. It was Chad. Yeah. Chad was at one table. He had already played before. So, and I think you were there for a little while, Mitchell.
Well, yeah, I was there at the beginning, but there was at least one person at every table that had played before.
At least one.
Yeah.
So I was able to just manage one table instead of I was worried about managing 3, and I ended up not having to do that. So that made it very easy. I thought the teach went pretty well. I kind of gave out about 80% of the rules in 5 minutes, and then supplemented it over the next couple of rounds as people got into it. When those the B cards start coming out with the different type of powers, Jerod came up with the idea of doing top 2 at each table, having them face off, and then we'd have 3. But look at the scores again, and the top player would get a bye into the finals, and the second and third players would play against each other in a sudden death match. And then we'd have the big finals. And that meant that we finished the whole tournament in about 50 minutes and then another 10 minutes for the finals. Because there was a little bit of, talking and excitement.
That game is it's so con built.
It's
just a built-in tournament system. It's fantastic.
I'm not a fan of the game, but in that setting, I agree. I heard so many people saying like Challengers isn't my favorite game, but in this setting, it was awesome.
Yeah. Ray told me it was his game of the con. Yeah, I could not believe that.
Wow. Ray O, you talking about?
Our friend Ray from the Gumbo. He streamed with us before. Ray, I don't know if you saw him. He's the one that did.
I know you're talking about. Sorry,
Ray's the one who did. The Game of
his
Thrones
girlfriend
last
is the one who's in second place.
Lauren
right?
came out second.
Yeah.
She didn't even want to play. She was like, "No, I don't feel like playing the tournament." He's like, "Oh, they got one spot left. You can sit next to me and we'll play." And she ended up coming out second. And her deck was
awesome.
really good.
And she
Chris
had the high
obviously is a
scores.
shark. Chris,
I
is
want more
obviously a good
stats,
player.
man. I need more decks. I need some more variability. We've played so many times
Well,
now.
Beach Cup is adding that, right?
And
Beach Cup is coming. Beach Cup is coming. Yeah. So Chris not only won the SoBo Jet Coffee League, but he also won the Challengers Tournament.
So he won 2 copies of Oceans.
He won another copy of Oceans. Yeah.
oh, was that the prize for Challengers? For
And
winning
gift
the
cards from the
Challengers?
FLGSs.
3 different
Wow.
gift cards. Yeah, from the FLGSs.
The first, second, and third players, right? Yeah,
Yep.
nice.
And Mitchell's buddy Carlos, well, and my buddy too, but from the Beans and Dice, Carlos did us a huge favor by making a gorgeous handmade. What is it
Not
called?
handmade.
Wood burning.
It's not handmade.
It's not handmade.
It's
Machine lathe.
Yeah, it's what's it called? What's the thing called? The machine he has that laser cuts it, laser engraved stuff.
Oh, I thought he did like a little burner thing. You know,
no,
with the little,
you're
Dremel tools,
joking.
that
Shut
thing.
up. You do not.
I was pumping him up, Mitchell. Breaking the
BJ's
third
sarcasm
wall.
sometimes is so advanced that people think he's just an idiot.
So Carlos made a handmade with a machine trophy for us that was absolutely gorgeous, man. It was so good. The only weird thing about the trophy, there's only one weird thing. So the trophy said Southern Board Game Fest, Board Game Gumbo, Challengers Tournament. And you had to flip it to see sponsored by, the trophy sponsored by Beans and Dice with a sticker. Like, Carlos, you could have hand carved with a machine your logo onto the front, right? You put a sticker on the back.
He was being humble, I suppose.
No, Rob said they have like 7,000 million stickers. They literally, if you go to Starbucks, they put a sticker on your coffee.
They were handing out little Beans and Dice pens and stuff. That was cool. I know they met up with a lot of people thanks to you. Carla and I think Woody from Hutchu Games and Burky that they're going to have on their show.
I tried to introduce them to as many people as possible. I did the same thing with Carla. I was also, Carla and it's symbiotic, right? Carla and Burky are both got these big Kickstarters. Well, the content creators need content, so I thought it'd be nice, and hopefully we can get Burky and onto the show, do really well in the Kickstarter, and see what happens in the future. So that was, I thought, really great. Yeah, Challengers Tournament, fantastic. I would, 10 out of 10, I would do it again. So in fact, make it bigger next year if we can. So
wow.
That's Saturday night. Anything else about Saturday night? I don't know what happened later because as soon as the Challengers Tournament ended, I literally drove to bed. I actually put my car on cruise control and I just took a nap in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
So
don't say that too loud. No, for me, Saturday was about mostly just teaching games. That's one of my favorite parts of a con is like looking around for those teacher wanted signs, seeing if it's a game I know, and being able to, save someone the headache of having to read through a rule book where there's 200 other people talking around them. So, I know I got to teach Furnace and Earth and Parks and a few other games. And to me, meeting new people, that's why you go to cons. I'm not saying I'll never play with my friends at a con. Of course I do, but I play with my friends all the time on my game nights, so getting to make those connections with people. That picture that you had commented on Facebook that Aaron found where I was teaching Parks and we were just laughing and, goofing around. Yeah, that was a fun time for me on Saturday.
What about you, Jerod? Highlight for Saturday. Mitchell says teaching games.
I think I enjoyed going on to the iHeart board game stream. I thought that was enjoyable. I know Stephanie. I don't know if Stephanie's ever been on our stream before, so no? She was on the iHeart stream as well.
That was fun to see.
On the stream,
I actually didn't know she was going to be on it.
Well, we didn't either. He was just kind of sitting there and I had talked to her about playing trekking, and I said, "Hey, do you want to see if he wants to play?" And he had a free moment because I think he was just kind of putzing around on the camera, and we decided to just play a game of Trekking Through History. So I really enjoyed that, playing that on stream and the commentary while we were playing and just the banter. So I really enjoyed that.
That's
so
3 quality experiences on Saturday. All right. Well, I went to bed. You guys, I guess, went to the festival and partied all night, and then Sunday we started up again, but Sunday was only 9 to 8. Sunday 9 to 8.
That group, the guy who won the raffle the second day, they were walking out at 7:59. They wanted every ounce of con, and I respected them for that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I was late because I went to Reds on Sunday to try to get some cold plunge, but I did get to play some games on Sunday. And the first one I want to talk about is a game that I've been begging Jerod to play. It's been on my shelf over here since Chad from 25th Century sent us Space Explorers with the Age of Ambition expansion. I don't know why we haven't played that yet. Because we both like Space Explorers.
It's weird. It's not like I text you to set something up at your house before I get there, and then I get there and he goes, "What do you want to play?" I'm like, you could have just
Ghost love candy too.
Now that I did try to play, y'all both refused to play with me. But Age of Ambition, I only played one module from it called the Leaders module. Are you familiar with Space Explorers, Mitchell?
No.
Imagine if Splendor went to MIT and got a double master's with a PhD in botany and computer technology and sociology, all at the same time.
The oversell. Imagine if Splendor had more cards and a little bit more variability than Space Explorers.
Okay, I guess that's a better way to say it. Yeah. So Space Explorers, it's very, it's got this cool, unique art where it's all about the American and Russian, space exploration in the 60s, and it's got that look from the kind of that Sputnik era artwork. So I really dig the artwork.
Artwork is really cool.
Really cool. But unlike Splendor, where they're just colors, every card in the game has some kind of weird special power. Either just like Splendor, when you get a card, it gives you the ability to get gemstones of that color, whatever colors are at the bottom, it kind of engine builds that way. This one has some of those cards, but most of the cards just do something wacky that breaks the game. So you gotta play 3D chess with the Splendor game as you're trying to do it. The leaders adds one more to the pile.
Yeah.
What's up?
No, I was gonna say that the power thing before you shifted off. That was the interesting part of that is when you put another card in that category over that, you lose the previous power and gain the new power. So it's also this balance of trying to balance out your board, of trying to maximizing your powers, but you still have to build new cards. So you're trying to figure out which card to build to overplace powers. And that was the more interesting. That's the interesting.
And not to undersell it, there's one more twist to it. What if in Splendor, whenever you paid for the gems, instead of putting the coins back in the stack, you had to give them to the player to the left? It's a closed economy.
Wow.
Yeah. So you'll see players, their whole strategy is just to hoard. Bradley, they just hoard the money the whole time. They don't want to spend it. So you slowly are spending your money, and now you're out unless you built up an engine. So I was smart this time. I made sure that I built an engine first, so that way I always knew that I could build. But then after that, Jerod, you got to there's cards I had to pass up because I didn't want to get rid of my little cards.
Yeah.
So what Leaders adds to it, and that's the module that Patrick and Sidney Newman, they were gracious enough to teach me the game. And Patrick had recommended we do the Leaders because just like with the projects are just like the nobles in Splendor, where you're trying to match your cards to get these extra points before anybody else. It's also a timer in the game. The Leaders are like that, but they're cards, Jerod, that replace into the market. So when you're doing your 7 market, some of them are the market cards or Leaders cards. And when you replace the cards, you pick. So you can seed the market with more regular cards if you need astronauts, or if you're trying to get some points, you can start seeding with Leaders. They do go into your tableau, though. There were points. Yeah,
do they have powers at all?
They do. They have scoring. They have scoring powers, not regular powers. They have scoring things like, collect certain amount of this and you'll get that many points. So it's one more level of in-game score, end of the game scoring, like the projects. So thumbs up for me. It doesn't add a whole heck of a lot of complexity, but it seems to flesh the game out. It's like when you play it, you go, oh, this should have been in the game in the first place. It feels rounded out when you played Leaders. I don't see any reason why not to play that one. They weren't too happy with the other ones, but I haven't tried them yet. So hopefully we can stream it and see the others. But Leaders is something. If you're a Space Explorers fan, you should probably get the Age of Ambition and throw the Leaders in the box because it's just a deck of cards to add in there. So
yeah, neat.
Are you an engine building fan, Mitchell? I think you do.
Oh, yeah. I like engine building, sure.
Yeah. We'll have to get you to try Space Explorers. What about Jerod? What did you play Sunday? That was a big hit for you.
So Mitchell taught us how to play Orleans? That was the big one. So that was one that I saw was in the library, and I've always wanted to play. I've never got to play before. So this was the base game of Orleans, none of the expansions. After playing the base game, now I really want to try the expansions. And Jesse was talking about that. That's, I don't know if you know this, but if you watch Jesse's top games, that's his number one game. So
I was telling Jerod, I don't hate Orleans, but I would never put it as my number one game of all time. But I'm assuming he probably always plays with the expansions, right?
I would guess so. I could see where it would be in. If I played it more often, I could see that easily climbing up into my list. I don't know if it hit number one, but I can see it climbing up. I
don't know. Stephanie and I were talking about it. I'm kind of with you, Mitchell, on that. Like, I enjoy when I play Orleans, but it's not something I would ever ask to play. There's a million other Euros I'd rather play than Orleans, and I don't know why.
Have you played the expansions with it?
I have not. I think I've only played the base game.
So I have them. I've just never played them. My wife bought them because she liked the game. That's how the solo version was part of the expansion. She wanted to be able to play the solo version. But Rob from Beans and Dice said that it really increases the complexity and the replayability. Because, I mean, Jerod, our first 3 or 4 turns, all three of us literally did the exact same thing, which I had never seen that happen. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the base game y'all play.
Yeah. I would love to play expansion. So if you ever do come and we do another game day, that would be really cool to
if we ever do a game day again, no. SoBo's over, never again.
The next game day, we should bring that with a couple expansions, because I know one of the guys from Dean or from Board Boys or Meeple Town, I think he's a huge fan.
Dean loves Orleans.
Orleans. So, and he's been talking it up in the last couple of episodes. So I would love to try it with the expansions and see how much more that adds to it.
Mitchell, what'd you play on Saturday?
I've kind of mentioned a lot of them already. I had some, even though there was less going on Sunday, I was still kind of just running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So toward the end of the day, I was able to get some quicker games in. Love Letter, BOOoop, or Jaipur.
Was this your first time playing Jaipur?
No. These aren't new games. It was just like literally I had like, hey, I got 30 minutes until I got to go read the play to win. Hey, and then I had a buddy that was looking to play Dwayne Gilbo. And he hadn't played it, so we needed something quick. So we grabbed that one off the shelf. And then after the library closed, Connor had gotten a copy of Love Letter from Doug after the bazaar.
Which version?
I think it was just the base game. It's like
the one in the red, right?
Little red bag.
Yeah.
So we needed something quick before the con closed at 8, so we played a game of that as well.
I like Love Letter. I think the Lord of the Rings version is the one that I think that's the one that I like the best, if I remember right.
I like that version too. Doug has the Batman version, which I'm not as much of a fan of, but I like the Lord of the Rings one.
If you play, you can play it on BGA, and I know when you play with 5 or 6 people, and it adds that second set of the same numbered cards.
Right.
I really like that.
Jerod, do you remember we got into this
level of complexity that I enjoy?
We got into the streak with me and you and Leandra and Zach, where we were playing back-to-back games of 5 or 6 player. I mean, like over and over for weeks.
I can't play it on BGA. That's a game you gotta be like reading people and stuff for that game.
Yeah. Sometimes the only downside, Jerod, you got to admit, like sometimes you'll check in on your turn and
like,
so much has happened.
Well, here's the worst part is when you come back and you go, "Oh man, I'm still in the game of Love Letter," because you got eliminated.
Right.
In the very first turn, and you haven't played in 5 days.
No.
Like, oh man, this is still going on.
It's still going on. So, yeah, I am curious about Sea Salt and Paper. You were able to introduce that to people?
Yeah, so Logan picked it up at the bazaar. And, we had played online, I think the 3 of us with Logan. But he said he never really understood exactly what was going on, even though I'm pretty sure he crushed us online. I'm pretty sure he won, but he said he never really understood. So he and I played, we just quickly played a head-to-head to 30 points or something like that.
I saw a lot of people playing that game, actually. Mike Karambat, Retro Resource Games, one of the GoPub guys. I saw them playing. I was like, hey, it's a good game. Y'all like it? And he's like, no. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't understand the scoring. And he's like, let me make sure I understand. And he explained all of it. I was like, yeah, that's right. And he's like, and you think that's simple? So apparently it didn't hit off for him.
I mean, BJ, you and I talked about it when we did our 10s. I really enjoy that game. I think it's a ton of fun. And if you play on BGA, they added in even the new cards that are even cooler.
I don't know what the new cards, man.
The scoring in that game in person makes the game. I think it's a BGA game for me. It's a BGA game.
I agree. BGA.
The scoring, like constantly having to refigure out my score every time I get a new card, going, shoot, what was my score again? Because it's been, depending on what happened, you may have picked 3 cards that didn't do anything, and then you finally get a 4th card and go, okay, Now I have I had 2. Now I have 7, I think.
Right. Yeah, you kind of want that little thing that pops up and says, "Do you want the last chance right now?"
You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I have 8 points. Yeah, sure, I'll last chance.
I'll do
Yeah.
that. No, I agree with you. But I did play a lot of Sea Salt and Paper at ChuckCon this summer, and when you're playing with people back to back to back, and I think that's what this game is for.
Yeah,
this game is like no thanks. You don't want to just play no thanks once. You got to play it 3 or 4
killed
times.
it. The one and only time I played no thanks, I absolutely destroyed that game.
Yeah. No, he didn't. I think he was negative 190 points or something. No
I
thanks.
took every card. I said, yeah, okay, I'll take that.
No, I'm going to shoot the moon, and he forgot that there's 9 cards that are not in play, so he missed out on shooting the moon. And
Terrible.
So many points. Yeah, Sea Salt and Paper. That was awesome. So I do highlights for. Yeah, I want to hear highlights for Sunday. What are your big highlights for Sunday? Anything?
I wasn't there very long. I ended up leaving, I think, at like 1:30, something like that.
Was that your highlight, leaving early?
No.
Not having to clean up?
So I didn't really get to do much Sunday, but it was, I enjoyed going in and playing a couple more games. I got to play one more with Mitchell before the weekend was over. I think me and you only played like 2 or 3 games, like one each day, basically.
Yeah. I mean, in total, I think I played less. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I only played like 8 games at the con total. So, I mean, that's a fourth of the games I played were with you. So you should feel special.
You got me beat. I played 2 games of BOOoop.
Well, yeah. I mean, 4 of those games are BOOoop, Jaipur, and Love Letter. So,
yeah, I didn't play very many. What about you, Mitchell? What was your highlight? So Jerod says his highlight Sunday was leaving early and not having to clean up, and also playing games with Mitchell. But
no, on Sunday, I enjoyed actually being able to sit down and play some games because it was a little bit less crazy and getting to game with people I hadn't played with in a bit. So like Dwayne, for example, I don't think I've gamed with him since last SoBo. Alicia, my friend I mentioned earlier, I'd actually never gamed with her before. She was the one that I had mentioned earlier that the Fire and Library. So kind of like making some connections and hopefully, I told both of them, hey, you guys need to come to our game group and play some stuff with us outside of SoBo. So kind of being able to extend SoBo into our homes.
Dwayne could come to Anubis on Wednesday nights, right?
Yeah. I mean,
he's got a game store right there with people that are always looking for people to play. Tim and Nate and all those guys are always looking. Sarah, who I got to see on Saturday, I got to teach 48% of the rules correctly on expeditions.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I passed by afterwards and they're like, so how does this work? I had to kind of pick up your scraps there.
Oh, it was terrible, man. And it's nothing against the game. It uses all this weird terminology. So
that sounds like it is something against the game.
It is something against the game. I love that game, but I'm not very good at teaching it. So, and I hadn't played it since the summer, so I just didn't.
Our 20-minute game.
Yeah. Oh, forgot about I did play it once, but it was a 20-minute game, so that was not going to work. But yeah, every time I've played it with people, it's been with people that already know the game, so I haven't had to teach it. And going back to teaching the game made it tough. But my highlight clearly was playing a super thematic dice chucking Ameritrash game in your face called Squaring Circleville with
you mean my buddy Giro,
my buddy Andrew, and with the Newmans. Number one, I love Patrick and Sydney Newman, and I love playing games with Andrew. Andrew's one of my favorite people to play because he knows so many good games.
And he's the only other person like train games.
And most of them are beige or have trains. Exactly. So I love playing with him. And I don't get to see him that often. Recently, he's a sports writer. So he's in the middle of like the biggest season between hockey and baseball, basketball and football all at the same time. He's super busy. But playing Square in Circleville, game by Matt Wolf and Spielworks. Spielworks, one of the publishing companies that always has games that I want to play. That's Captains of the Gulf and Crescent City Cargo. It's got the coolest theme, Mitchell. In the 1800s, there was a town just like Lafayette, the hub city, where they had built it in the French model, where you have the French either built cities 2 ways. They either built them on a river and then ran them off the river, or like in this case, they built them in a circle. You got the centerville, as we call it, the downtown area with usually a cathedral or a courthouse, and then streets going off in a hub and spoke directions.
Like Disney.
But sort of like Disney. Yeah, exactly. It's like that's the way they built it. Hub and spoke, just like the Magic Kingdom. But the people hated it. Because when cars and buggies and all that started getting to be popular, it's weird to say I'm going to go east to go west, because you got to go around the circle, to go that way. And they said, we're going to blow up the town basically and rebuild it with a square American style grid. And they did that over the course of 30 or 40 years. They leveled the town, removed all the buildings, redid all the streets, and squared it out. And that's why they call the game Squaring Circleville. It's based on that historical event. Matt went to the libraries in Ohio and read all the old, newspaper reports about all this. There's a lot of research in it. The thematics of the game, it's one of those games that I like where the mechanics themselves, you would appreciate this. The mechanics, Mitchell, make sense to you from a thematic standpoint. Like, okay, I'm removing these red bricks. They're roads, so it instantly, I'm going to be blowing up roads or I'm going to be building roads. So all of the different aspects make sense on the board. The scoring itself takes a little getting used to, like not the scoring from like how to get points, how to win the game. Like a typical Euro, it's you're trying to figure out, I don't understand exactly how to win this game, but by the second half of the game, you've got it. And by the third reel, you're everybody's gunning for all the in-game scoring. So Squaring Circleville was my highlight, not only because I've been wanting to play that game for a long time, but also because I've played with some cool people. So
I passed by a couple of times and I saw they had like these huge overlays. I'm guessing that's how you covered up the circles with squares, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the movement from the supervisor that's handling the blowing of the roads and the building of the buildings, he's got to go point to point, like this little area to the next one. But once you build out the quadrant, that whole quadrant now, or as you build out each little section of the quadrant, they're all the same color in each quadrant. So it builds a bigger and bigger space, which means by the third reel of the game, by the end of the game, your supervisor is literally jetting across the board because there's only 3 spaces and then a couple more. 3 quadrants are filled and there's a couple other spaces. So you thought you were safe in your little corner that you were building by yourself, and all of a sudden Mitchell's supervisor jumps over all the way from one end to the other. So, and of course, the other cool thing about it is your player board, you get to upgrade while you're playing with special powers and powering up your thing. And it's got this cool rondel of actions that just blows my mind. I'm going to move my assistant a couple of spaces to take 2 actions, but it's based on the color of the rondel and also the stack of tiles that you're slowly taking colors off. It's a lot to think about, but it's a lot of fun. I would definitely play it again. In fact, I want to try.
This podcast is now sponsored by Squaring Circleville. Right.
All right. So I think we're just about done. I think, unless you have any more highlights to talk about.
I just want to say real quick, I really appreciate the Beans and Dice guys coming out. I didn't get the game with them nearly as much as I wanted to, and I know Dan got sick on the last day. He had some jet lag from being at Essen a couple of days before. We did go to Bon Ton Grill after the closing of the con at your suggestion. Nick had some alligator, and we had a good time. Jeremy and his family came, and
Burky was there. Y'all missed Burky by a couple hours.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah. They had gone there too. So a shout out to John and Sagan and Ray and all those people. And Aaron. They put on a great, fantastic show. Anything you got, Jerod? If not, we're going to close this thing up.
No, I was happy to play, and looks like Zachary might be here for the next one. So I'm excited to do it again, and maybe next time I might try to teach a game or two. So
yeah,
I know I didn't do any teaches this time, but I'll try to do some teaches next time.
I didn't do a scheduled playthrough this time, but I'll try to get one done next time. Kind of glad. Yep. All right. So for Mitchell and for Jerod, it's BJ from Board Game Gumbo. And until next time, next SoBo 2024 is a Le Bon Temps Roulette.